Please help support the channel by visiting our Amazon store, affiliate link below. Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is the Mundane Matt channel, and this is a story that I am very happy about, especially the outcome, because I really dislike this person, and I'm going to tell you all about it. So when Gamergate started a couple of years ago, there was a very outspoken critic from the movie blogger community, this guy by the name of Devin Faraci. Now, Devin Faraci was the editor-in-chief of Badass Digest, which eventually became Birth.Movies.Death. It is a website all about movie news and reviews and everything that's owned and operated by the Alamo Drafthouse Cinema. Yes, the same Alamo Drafthouse that tried holding the very illegal Wonder Woman women-only screenings, and then the more recent but still stupid clowns-only screenings of it. Last year, there was a bit of a kerfuffle involving Devin Faraci after he was accused of sexual misconduct, and, well, he no longer is the EIC of Badass Digest or Birth.Movies.Death. However, he came back, like herpes. The gift that keeps on giving. And this is kind of where our story begins. So it says here that Devin Faraci returns to Alamo Drafthouse after hiatus following sexual assault allegations. Saying here, disgraced movie critic and entertainment blogger Devin Faraci has returned to public life following a supposed 10-month-long hiatus. Now, here's the thing. I don't think anyone out there really thought that Devin was off the scene, right? There are people right now that are currently looking through a lot of movie bloggers, like new bloggers, over the course of the past 10 or so months to see whether or not he took on a pseudonym and continued writing in an underground hidden capacity. I wouldn't put that against him, to be honest with you. This guy has lots of connections. He's been around the scene for a long time. He's well known. He's also well hated. He would be, and I'm saying this to be, rational, would be an asset to any particular movie news website. He just happens to be a jerk. And a constant jerk, a never-ending jerk. This is the dude that said Gamergaters were worse than ISIS on the very day, and I'm talking within a couple hours of ISIS releasing a video of them beheading an American journalist. And he said we were worse than people who would literally kill the dude, cut off his head, put it on camera, and uploaded it to the internet. But those of us who wanted ethics in video game journalism, we were apparently the monsters. He didn't stop there. He compared us to plantation owners, KKK members, Nazis, you name it. And he would always throw out this kind of just ill-educated rhetoric that was lapped up by the people that treated him almost like a movie news god, because he had that much bravado around him. He thought he was better than everyone. until one woman accused him of sexual misconduct, or basically sexual assault, and that all came crumbling down like a house of cards. Again, I feel no problem in reporting on this story. I have zero fucks to give about his entire life, but I like talking about that it's been ruined, because seriously, screw this guy. In 2016, the vocal progressive and male feminist stepped down from his position as editor-in-chief of Alamo Drafthouse-owned publication Birth.Movies.Death following allegations of sexual assault and multiple instances of sexual harassment. His return is being widely condemned, and people close to the situation claim that Faraci may not actually have left the company at all. As I said before, there was this people are looking into it to see whether or not he picked up another moniker and kept on going. Loud and often vitriolic on social media, the male feminist blogger shared his views on such matters as Donald Trump's grab her by the pussy comments to Billy Bush. Faraci tweeted that he was terrified of Trump and described Mike Pence as an ideological monster in a series of tweets that went viral. It's kind of funny that he calls Mike Pence an ideological monster when he himself is exactly what he hates. He is very ideological, and he is supremely a monster. This is a person who doesn't care who he hurts, provided that they're against him politically or ideologically or narratively. It doesn't matter. He is that kind of unsympathetic douchebag. One of Faraci's most popular articles was a complaint about geek culture, in which he decried his problem with entitlement. He was an often vocal detractor of the Gamergate movement for ethics in gaming journalism, describing it as a movement of misogynists and zealots. It's funny, talking about zealotry while being a male feminist. It's just, again, pot, meat, kettle. He's saying here, I have more respect for ISIS than the anti-Zoe Quinn people. And if you followed my channel at all, especially my most recent video about Zoe Quinn, you know how honorable and respectable she is. How her word should be taken as truth, right? And not ever at all called into question with proof of her lies. Following his statements denouncing Trump and Pence, a woman posting under the name of @SpaceCrone called him out for his hypocrisy and accused him of having sexually assaulted her in the past. She tweeted, @DevinCF, quick question, do you remember grabbing me by the pussy and bragging to your friends about it, telling them to smell your fingers? Sitting here trying to remember if a man had ever grabbed me by the vagina against my will, and yes, a popular Twitter feminist. Luckily, I literally sucked his downs down my pants at a bar while I told him to stop, then told our friends he had finger banged me. I avoided making that public for over a decade, but I guess my rage at Trump has uncasqued the Gorgon in me. You know, it's she's out there making the allegations. It's not just your Trumps or your Republicans, it's your friendly neighborhood film critics and Twitter feminists. I don't really care if he apologizes, mostly tweeting in solidarity with every person who has ever been grabbed by the pussy or otherwise violated and then had to see that person posture as a feminist on social media or anywhere. Now, when this came out, a lot of people instantly turned on Devin Faraci, instantly turned on this guy. The reason being is because everyone knew that he was a real scumbag. They knew he was a scumbag. They didn't like him at all. And this was the blood in the water. This was that moment they could actually use to kind of like take him down, as tends to be the case with social justice warriors. They never actually care about what you've done. Just if you've ever gotten on anyone's bad side and they can find a way to eat their own, they will. And they do it gleefully and repeatedly. And they have they make no assumptions about it. They do this because they love it. Faraci didn't deny her allegations, instead begging her for forgiveness, saying, I do not remember this. I can only believe you and beg forgiveness for having been so vile. Okay. Now, speaking to @SpaceCrone, Variety reported that she had spoken to Alamo Drafthouse founder and CEO Tim League about the allegations and described him as empathetic. Now, League announced on Tuesday that Faraci had entered recovery and has been sober since the sexual assault allegations surfaced and is now being welcomed back to the theater chain Alamo Drafthouse. In the letter, League claims that Faraci did not write for Birth.Movies.Death after being ordered to step down from his position. So, hey, look, here's the thing. I understand it. Alcoholism, especially when it comes to writers or whatever, is an issue. It's an issue. So even though I feel that Devin Faraci is one of the worst people that I've encountered on this platform, i.e. social media, if he can go get help and get help for his problems and get cleaned up, then I will actually give him the benefit of the doubt. I have no reason to do so other than just compassion for somebody who has gone down a bad path and wants to fix things. Everyone deserves a second chance. And if Tim League had thought for him, for a second that maybe he had gotten a little bit better, then offering him a second chance. At the same time, Tim League also was totally on board with the woman-only screening of Wonder Woman that was clearly a violation of civil rights. So screw this guy too. However, multiple people close to the situation state that there was no break between Faraci's departure from Birth.Movies.Death and his employment at Drafthouse, with Tim Doyle here saying, let's be clear, there was no break between Faraci being fired from BMD and him working at Drafthouse. It's a poorly kept local secret. If people are going to lie, at least tell a lie that everyone in the film community in Austin doesn't know to be a lie. It's sloppy. Now, Austin, when compared to Hollywood, is kind of like the Hollywood of Texas, but it's a very small, very tight-knit film community. Whether you have the filmmakers, the film lovers, the film bloggers, there's a lot of people there and they all know each other. And this is where you start hearing all these stories and these little secrets. And then again, the facade begins to crack when there's blood in the water and they can find a way to take him down. Now, a former Alamo Drafthouse staffer told The Hollywood Reporter that he found League's statement to be disingenuous because there was never any question of whether Devin would be given that opportunity. It wasn't offered after a period of growth and change. Devin just very rapidly moved into his current copywriting/editing job after stepping down from Birth.Movies.Death. Now, that's interesting, right? He says he very rapidly moved into his current copywriting/editing job. Now, 10 months, that's not a quick amount of time. So what does Tim League know about Devin Faraci that we don't know about Devin Faraci? Now, the person who said this also added that Faraci was being CC'd in internal emails a month after he left the website. The former staffer told the website that League released internal email similar to the one he put out Tuesday many months ago to address concerns and outrage. Now, that is something I find interesting because if this kind of email was put out months and months and months ago, somewhere between now and the previous 9 months, you figure somebody would have talked about it. But then again, when it comes to the Alamo Drafthouse and that very tight-knit film goer, group that's there, film buff group that's there, they're probably not going to leak it because they, are going to look after their own. they're not going to cannibalize one of their own in that particular community unless they have to. And by that, I mean it going public is essentially what prompted this to happen. Now, this person still said, I don't feel that a single month or less is long enough to properly reflect on, atone for, and change such long-standing behaviors. It's not. I'll agree with that. THR also highlighted correspondence between a Vancouver-based writer named Kat Arnett and Tim League over allegations that Faraci sexually harassed her. She reached out to the Alamo Drafthouse CEO shortly after the sexual assault allegations were made. Posting screenshots of their private conversation, League asked her to keep her story private, saying, I'd appreciate it if you kept this dialogue between us. We're now trying to move forward with the BMD brand, but I didn't want to get back to you personally. Cheers. Now, as a result, there's other people that's been involved in this story that have stepped away from Fantastic Fest, which is a film festival operated through the Drafthouse, as a result of Faraci coming back. And I'm very happy to report that Tim League did, in fact, update everyone by saying this. Hello, everyone. I'd like each of you to know that I've spoken with Devin today, and we agreed that it is the right decision for him to leave the company permanently. He offered his resignation, and I have accepted it. Our company values the ability to reflect on our actions, both individually and as a team. I have reflected a great deal, and I welcome the opportunity to speak with each of you, to listen, and to provide the opportunity for further reflection. As a result, you will all be receiving an invitation to a series of small group discussions beginning Friday. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me personally with any concerns as we together chart our path forward. Sincerely, Tim League. So Devin Faraci, a human dirtbag, got called out for sexual assault, didn't defend himself, says, I don't know, maybe it happened. Basically blaming alcohol. And you hear a lot about that. You know, if you hear a lot of stories, he was a bit of a drinker. Probably led to quite a few Twitter outbursts and whatnot. So he left, right, 10 months ago. 9 months ago, starts popping up in CC'd emails at the Alamo Drafthouse, meaning he basically went to his friend, who is a CEO of this theater chain. This theater chain is not only trying to expand, right? They changed Badass Digest to Birth.Movies.Death in order to continue being more appropriate to put on posters, because Badass Digest is not something that you would see very often quoted on movie posters, and they wanted to do something that would then allow them to be able to reconfigure their brand to be more marketable in that regard. And Devin Faraci, being the person in charge of this, is the person who spearheads all this kind of stuff. He would have been a good person to have on the team, even if he wasn't actually there. So a deal was probably struck, and again, I'm purely speculating here. A deal was probably struck that he would come back in a limited capacity, right, internally work with the company while he got sober, while he got things figured out, and then when the time was right, about 10 months, after the incident, then they would announce that he would be back in a limited role, but one that would be, useful to the company, one that would help them grow, one that would help them succeed, one that would help them get the mission that they had set out to do completed. And then from there, you probably would see him come back and start to get a bigger role. And then they would test the waters and not go too big, and then go and then go and then go, and give it another year or 2 years, and he'd probably be back running another website or Birth.Movies.Death or something similar, right? That was probably always the goal. Was Tim League wanted Faraci, again, my opinion, to my theory, to go ahead and spearhead this thing in order to help build out the Alamo Drafthouse brand. Why? Because, well, they're expanding the Alamo Drafthouse to Los Angeles. And I believe they're looking into expanding it to other places as well. They don't want negative publicity. Not after the Wonder Woman stint, not after the other stuff. They don't want negative publicity as they're trying to grow. So this Faraci thing is like a cloud over their heads that they've now, well, basically just gotten rid of. And I can't say that I feel bad. I don't feel bad at all. Devin Faraci is a person who, for all intents and purposes, is a gigantic douchebag. And he treats people like they're douchebags, and he doesn't have compassion in him. And so, he was given essentially a second chance, but through a way that was, well, hidden from the public eye and used as a way to kind of get him slowly back into the company and slowly back to prominence, so then they could give him something else to run. I'm glad he got called out, and I'm glad he's over. Hey guys, that wraps up this video. If you'd like to leave a comment, please do so below. I love to read your guys' input. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button. It really does help me in the YouTube algorithm. If you want to support the channel, there's the Amazon affiliate store, there's PayPal, there's Patreon, there's Bitcoin. And if you're bored and you want something else to watch, check out 3 Buck Theater up here. My name is Matt Jarbo. I will talk to you guys later. Have yourself a wonderful day. Peace out.